is a day of national shame, and it has come about because of a hostile environment policy that was begun under her Prime Minister.
When did it get really bad, Fitzroy, and how bad did it get?
It get real bad between 2008, 2009.
This is Black Think Tank, and we're about to prove to you that the Windrush scandal, that hostile environment, started under the Labour Party. Long before Theresa May became Prime Minister, long before Theresa May became Home Secretary. In fact, the Windrush scandal, the hostile environment, started under the Labour Party. Now you're about to hear two clips. The first clip is a BBC News report from December 2021 talking about an update regarding Windrush scandal compensation. The second clip is from Eddie Nestor, who's a presenter on BBC London. He interviewed Fitzroy Maynard, who is a Windrush scandal victim. The Conservative Party came into government in 2010. Fitzroy Maynard's hell started in 2008. Who was British Prime Minister in 2008? Who was British Prime Minister in 2009? We're Black Think Tank.
They're known as the Windrush Generation, named after, of course, that pioneering crossing that brought the first significant number of people from the Caribbean after they were invited here to help fill labour gaps following the war. The people owed compensation because they were wrongly classed as illegal migrants. Our Home Affairs correspondent Daniel Sanford has more.
Some 3 decades ago, Fitzroy came to Britain as a 14-year-old boy. He came here legally. He never left. But in 2008, his life was turned upside down when the Home Office declared that he was an illegal immigrant.
It have an effect that make me homeless, make me have no money, make me have to beg, make me have to eat people leftovers. It's even having an effect on me today.
The Empire Windrush brings to Britain 500 Jamaicans.
The Windrush scandal, named after one of the first ships to bring workers to Britain from the Caribbean after the war, led to thousands of people being wrongly classed as illegal immigrants. It meant they couldn't work, find a home or access the NHS. Some were deported. Fitzroy wants compensation for 10 years of homelessness and unemployment. So far, he's only received a holding payment of £10,000. Daniel Sandford, BBC News.
Let's jump to the minute that you get the first inkling that all is not right. What happens? Do you get a note? Does somebody tap you on the shoulder? Is it one of those people at a tube station? What's the first inkling that Mr. Maynard may not be as welcome on these shores as was first indicated?
Are you talking about the problem with the Windrush?
Yes.
When I lost my job, I have to go to sign on, and I show them what I've got, ID, but I did not have my passport because my passport went missing a long time ago. I showed them a birth certificate, and basically about a few weeks later, they said to me I needed to prove my right to be here. I needed my passport. And then what happened is I don't have a passport, so I cannot do that. I phoned up the Home Office because I needed some documents, a letter from them, so I could prove my rights. Interview, you could not get any interview because they still wanted the same thing. They wanted something from the Home Office. Eventually, the Home Office wrote me back, and the social also contact them, and they received the same letter as the Home Office gave me The Home Office said they have no record of me ever granted status, and they have no record of me entering the country.
Even though you did enter the country on a passport, you're not one of those children who came on your mother's passport or your big sister's passport.
I came on
You came on a passport saying Fitzroy Maynard.
I came on a passport. On the outside said British passport, and inside of it said the state of Antigua, and you see my full name on my passport. And it was a 5-year-old passport.
Why didn't you just reapply for a passport?
The problem wasn't the passport anymore. It was the indefinitely right to remain stamped that was in the passport. That was the problem.
And it was stamped in the passport?
It was stamped in there. We had 6 months before we left Antigua to get here, or else that visa would have been cancelled.
Right. I understand. The piece of audio that we heard where they came to you and you talked about losing the flat, when the job went as a caretaker, you had no money, you had nowhere you could get money, there was no blacker market economy for you?
There was no way for me to get any money because I couldn't get any work. I couldn't get welfare. I've tried all these things. I walk in all over London. I went to the Citizen Advice Bureau. I went to a refugee state center in Old Street. I went to the Home Office, but I wasn't allowed in because you have to have an appointment. I was just wondering. By then,
Fitz, let's take a break because I'm going to be there with you. You know, I did fear that. You know, I'm asking you to relive trauma. I'm incredibly sensitive to that, and I imagine anybody listening is going to be triggered as well. Look, Fitzroy, I'm going to come back to you. Okay, just give us a minute. You take a minute. I'll come in that studio and talk to you. It's Fitzroy Maynard, a Windrush victim who I've invited onto the show to talk about how it really is. I'm talking to Fitzroy, and we're going there today. It ain't going to be easy. I'm sorry if anybody else is upset, but certainly I think sometimes you have to hear it to understand it. My name's Eddie, and at the minute I'm talking to Fitzroy Maynard. Fitzroy, we've got to the point, the lowest point, the nadir, that I am interested in when did it get really bad, Fitzroy, and how bad did it get?
It get real bad between 2008, 2009. It get real bad between 2008, 2009. It get real bad between 2008, 2009. I have nowhere to sleep. I'm freezing. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. I got to sit down there. I've got to beg. I've got to eat people's leftovers. There was one time I was sleeping in an intake cupboard. I have candles. I light the candles. Fell asleep. I woke up with the sound of crackling. The candles burned through onto what I had, and all what I could see is whole heap of flame. It was a good thing I waked up, because if the fire did drop to the ground, it would have blocked my access, or I would have died from the smoke. I went outside because it was a building I used to live, and I got some water and I out it, and all what you could see come out of the entrance of the building is lots of smoke. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm just praying no one see it, because I needed to go back to sleep in there. I did not want the fire brigade to come. And thankfully, no one saw it. And I went back and I sleep. About 2 days later, they must have realized someone was staying in there, and they locked the door. I have to sleep on park bench in Shoreditch Park. I have to hang around drug addict, alcoholic. I do not drink alcohol. I do not smoke. I do not take drugs. But yet I had to tolerate all these things so I could keep myself warm to stay alive. I had to ride on London Bentley buses to keep warm. I'm in the same clothes for days on end. It was really stressful. For some other people, it would have turned them to drugs. But I've never, ever believed in taking drugs or alcohol. That's what saved me. If I did die in that intake cupboard, they would have looked at me as an alcoholic. They would have looked at me as a drug addict. And they would have been so wrong, and no one would have ever known the truth. I did not see my sisters for 6 years, even though they live local. Few times I spot them and I hide with embarrassment. I was so embarrassed to let them see me the way I was. But thankful, this day came and the scandal break to help me. But before that, I met this girl, Jade. She had mental health. I didn't know at the time. Sometimes I stayed with her. But you're not allowed to stay there more than 2 days, or else it would interfere with her benefit. I disappeared without she knows. Or sometimes she doesn't realize I'm sleeping outside on her stairs. That is the mother of my daughter. It was really embarrassing.